This is potentially a lineup for Liverpool next season if they make even one transfer. And this is literally relying on Liverpool making one transfer. It is Morten Frendrup. Frendrup? We'll work it out when we get in there. He is, of course, a Danish player. He currently plays for Genoa in Serie A. It's really worth saying that this guy is a ball magnet, on and off the ball. On the ball, obviously, he's someone who loves to show for it, receive it, turn, and he's away with it. And there are plenty of people in the Liverpool team that currently do that. But I think defensively, he's probably a little bit stronger. He loves winning the ball back. When the players got their back to goal, you can see him getting into the back of them and trying to win the ball back. You can also see him making recovery tackles and recovery blocks on his way back. So he's definitely good if people have gone beyond the midfield, not only on the right, not only on the left, but the other side as well. He's also really good at keeping the pressure down the field and making sure that when they are trying to win the ball back, then there is this great press down the other end. I think that's a really big thing for him. And at the same time, he's a really great positional player. Other players are going to be looking for him, he's going to be looking for them, and he's going to be looking to give them options, but also just looking to open up space for the likes of Trent, for the likes of McAllister. He's someone who, similar to Endo, is very good at reading where other players need to be and how to win the ball back, and then how to counteract what the opposition are doing and get the ball down the field. It's massive for Liverpool. It's something we really need. And if we are to move Endo on, we're going to bring in a younger profile, someone who's maybe slightly less wages or whatever it is, and someone who has a very high ceiling, then I think Frendrup is going to be that kind of player. And it fits Liverpool's model perfectly. And the formation here that I've laid out maybe isn't all that revolutionary to you. And even after the first game that we saw under Arne Slot, where he didn't have a recognised striker and openly said, I didn't have a recognised striker, so I had to play like a Szoboszlai Elliott type combo, which looked a little bit more like this, and our average positions looked a little bit more like, probably like that, but obviously resulted in Szoboszlai getting a run through there. We know that this double pivot back here, the McAllister +1, or the Jones +1, or possibly Stefan Bajcetic, possibly Trainioni getting a little opportunity in there. I can't fit all these names onto this pitch. But the point is, Frendrup would be, well, he'd be a player who is adaptable enough for Liverpool that the other players can extol some of their strengths. And I think that's what Liverpool are looking to bring in here. Someone who can do a lot of what Endo already does, but add on to that. And that means that if Liverpool don't move Endo on, I think he is more than a perfectly passable player for Liverpool this year. In fact, if he played in this kind of role, and then we saw McAllister maybe play more over there, I wouldn't be upset. I think Endo is a fantastic player. But I do think that we are currently going off and there's still like these little leftover thoughts that Liverpool still have from the Klopp era. Like when I first laid this out, I was still laying it out a little bit more like that. And that's not to say that there won't be times where we'll look at Liverpool and go, hey, does that look more like a 4-3-3? But you got to remember, like, especially when we've looked at a lot of these managers who've come from the Dutch league and done stuff in this league, be that Erik ten Hag, be that any other manager who is Dutch, right, coming over. Very often their tactical adaptability has been a big strength, but also at times a bit of an undoing for them. And I think the great thing that we're seeing at Liverpool is they had such a long time of those players being so au fait, being so familiar with everything that Klopp was saying, that this change feels as good as a rest. This change feels rejuvenating, revitalizing. I've laid out some of these numbers wrong, but the point is, Liverpool know there are a couple of players in this squad that will be starters. Van Dijk, most probably Konate, but I'd be interested to know what you think. You probably have to start Trent in there. I think McAllister is undroppable. I think the same with Szoboszlai, although I think Elliott is very much going to push him this season. It seems to be very much enjoying himself. We've still got a position up grabs there. Potentially Liverpool sign a right wing there. And this position may also be up for grabs, but I'll be interested to see what Slot does with him. But the engine room of that team will be a DM who, in the game against Real Betis, Endo looked a lot deeper. It was much more like this. But what will be interesting to see is how far down the field when Liverpool are in control, which is what Arne Slot wants to do, they can push this double pivot. Whether they can double box at certain times and whether that Salah drops inside and then Trent goes on the outside there, or whether that's Salah going out wide, someone like Nunez dropping a little bit deeper, allowing McAllister those overlapping runs, allowing Szoboszlai those overlapping runs. We saw elements of that early on. But what does that mean for the guy who's got to hold? Well, what it means is that he needs to be adaptable. There are going to be times when McAllister will be a little bit deeper and having to do the defending on his side. And there'll be times where Frendrup will be a little bit deeper on and have to do a bit of work on his side. And I want to just pull out a couple of the games that he played for Genoa and why, under this Moneyball idea, and I think we have to accept some of this Moneyball idea at this point, I think we have to accept that Liverpool are going to be looking for value in the market where they know there are underlying numbers, underlying ideas. We're going to see multiple times Liverpool associated with players who would, before, bear this in mind, we've got Richard Hughes as a director of football, will be the player who would have gone to Bournemouth or whatever team that feels like a feeder club. We're going to skip that step. We're going to skip into, look, we've signed the guy who we would have signed from Bournemouth directly. Maybe that's actually a better plan. You save 50 million, a transfer window. Anyway, if I go into some of these lineups, let's look at where he played. It's sometimes difficult to pick him out, and sometimes it's weird because when you look at the formation as it's laid out here, that's a 3-5-2. Now, obviously, that makes them a lot more defensive, but they won this game 2-0 against Bologna. And what I think we have to look at here is tactical adaptation. Here he is, number 32, pretty much all over the place, but very much over this side, trying to help out those players, aiding the Vasquezes and the Martins of the world, and probably a little bit when it comes to Gudmundsson. But look at him, he's all over the place. He's trying to be an aid on this side, he's trying to be an aid on that side. He's trying to come and collect the ball deep here, probably when he splits the centre-backs. And he's trying to do something facilitative, should we say, giving other people a bit more opportunity to concentrate their play in very specific tactical areas. Again, Arne Slot, a manager who will give players roles, but will very much give them some detailed tactical analysis and tweaks they can make, similar to what he did with Szoboszlai, where he has an observation, that guy's playing over there, you could do this. And suddenly, bam, there's a goal. He's famous for doing it at half-time in the Netherlands. He will be, I think we'll see him getting credited with it a lot more this season because it's an easy tactical observation to make. Now look at where Frendrup played. Bear in mind they're going this way in this game. Look at that for a tactical observation of any player. How different is that in terms of concentration, in terms of where he was, than his previous heat map, which was much more down here. Look at that. Does that at all compare to what we've seen with Endo and what we're trying to do with Endo? Absolutely. Does that mean that we see other players like slightly changing their role? Yeah. Does it mean he can take really good tactical analysis? Does it mean he can take really good tactical input? Yes. And let's look at the Genoa 3-0 against Cagliari. Where is he? Now he's out almost like a winger. I've picked out these three games. I could probably pick out a game where they drew 3-3 with Milan, right? And suddenly, where is he? Got to go on the away team. There. Much more centrally, almost much more like that double pivot, actually. But again, playing on that side. I'll take you back to my tactical formation here. Playing this side, playing that side. Which we're seeing him play 4 or 5 different roles. Tactical adaptability. What did Klopp do towards the end of his time when he was signing players? McAllister tactically adaptable. Szoboszlai tactically adaptable. Gravenberch, an attempt to be tactically adaptable. Jones, they tried to make him much more tactically adaptable. Gakpo, tactically adaptable. Jota, tactically. There are a series of players in here who are tactically adaptable and can change their shape, can change what they do on the fly. Why keep Trent Alexander-Arnold if you're not going to make him tactically adaptable? These are all things that, I even saw that in that first game. I thought, wow, we're seeing the fullbacks come up level with the midfield. What is it that someone like Frendrup could, facilitate for someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold? Well, first of all, if Alexander-Arnold comes in, Frendrup comes out wide, drops back. He's had that kind of relationship with a number of different midfielders, not least the captain of the side at one point, Jordan Henderson. Now let's look at what Liverpool did against Betis. It's not a massive identifier, but look at what Szoboszlai was doing. Look at what Elliott was doing. Look at what Jones was doing, but specifically look at what Endo was doing. He was covering a lot of different positions, and all of these guys were fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, including these midfielders, in terms of what the role is that they're trying to do. Now, I think Liverpool were slightly deeper in this game because they felt they had to be a bit more tactically conservative for Sepp and for Quansah in this game. You could see how high they were getting pressed, and so these guys will get a lot more time on the ball. Endo had to drop slightly deeper. Jones had to drop slightly deeper. It's going to be something to see a lot against Liverpool. Van Dijk, Konate, all these guys have to become and be as tactically comfortable on the ball, should we say, and that's going to mean that people like Wataru Endo and people like Curtis Jones are going to have to be a lot more comfortable on the ball. Let's also see, by the way, what, say, Feyenoord did last season. This is game week 33, where they were playing Is this necessarily a double pivot? No, but you can go into any one of these games. This feels like a double pivot, the Van den Belt and Zerouki combination. Those two are clearly the central midfielders. But one of them is kind of covering much more of this area, one of them is much more vertical. These are clear tactical instructions from Arne Slot, which I can't necessarily explain because I don't know exactly what he was trying to achieve. They won the game 3-2 in the end. And with both their goals, they came from behind. But now you can see a little bit more of what these are the fullbacks for this side. Is that a role that Trent could play? Absolutely. Is that something that we can see someone like this guy giving us a little bit more? And why? Because if you compare him with someone like Endo, Wataru Endo, Endo is actually a slightly more creative player, which I understand. We want to put the more creative player alongside. He's slightly more attacking, and he's slightly more technical. Now, those two are give and take a couple of percentage points. Tactical analysis, you can see Frendrup, and defensive analysis, you can see Frendrup scoring very highly in those areas. Liverpool need a player that is much more skewed this way, and they need value in the market. What is it that we're going to see with that? This kind of thing coming up. Clearly, I mean, look at him. He's 23 years old, so he's entering the period that Liverpool love to sign players. He's not particularly tall, but he's a fantastic player. He's clearly someone who's adaptable enough that he's different to Endo, but I think Endo's adaptability was something that Liverpool wanted from him, which is why they probably do still see him as a valuable player. But I do also think that we're going to see them want to change the profile of player. And look at all those touches all over the field last season. That's him alone in Serie A. Look at him in the Coppa Italia. That's such a changed role. Look at him in Serie B. Probably don't need to at this point. The Europa League, again, all over the place, but more skewed towards that side. He's going to be brought in on that side. He's going to be brought in and need to play on in that area. And how does he fit Arne Slot? Well, let me tell you this. Arne Slot was never a manager that demanded high-profile, big signings. We as a fan base maybe now expect some of those. We've had Nunez in previous seasons. McAllister felt that way. We spent a lot of money on people like Soboslai. I think Liverpool are going to look to change that a little bit. A lot of teams now are buy to sell. Sell to buy. Manchester United have been that. Chelsea might even seem that way. City, I don't really know what their tactical and buying analysis is now. And Arsenal have clearly kept their books to such a clean degree that they know now we can get rid of Emile Smith-Rowe, bring in a Calafiori, and Arteta is adaptable enough. Liverpool are going to move in that direction. They've got a number of players they probably could move on relatively soon, and I think it will be sell to buy. What have we got here? A player who would fit that almost perfectly. Arne Slot's not going to be demanding that we go out there and buy a Tchouaméni, a Bellingham, a profile player. Maybe he wants some players that he can profile and fit the profile he wants, but it's not that profile of player. Frendrup is clearly... I'm not saying therefore he has no deficiencies. He played for Genoa, who finished 11th in Serie A last season. I'm sure there'll be some deficiencies. But Liverpool will be thinking about his ceiling, where he can go. He's really good on the ground. His positioning is fantastic. His tactical ability is brilliant. And his acumen in terms of where he positions himself is amazing. If Liverpool are basically getting a younger, slightly more defensively skewed Wataru Endo, brilliant. It's just worth us kind of considering, even for a moment. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. Do you think? I mean, I know we'd love to sign a number of high-profile players, but these are the stories we tell ourselves, and I think the stories we tell ourselves are going to have to change within this fan base because we are going to change the kind of players that we sign, or we're going to be reminded of the kind of players that we have to sign and why we tell ourselves these stories. I wouldn't get rid of Endo. Well, would you bring in Frendrup? Oh, well, I'd never get rid of Salah now. Would you have brought him in a couple of years ago? Doubt it. Oh, well, Cody Gakpo can go because he doesn't fit this. But is he going to be playing in the same position he did last season? There are a series of narratives, I think, at Liverpool that we need to analyse. And Edwards, Hughes, Slot are going to make us question those in the coming days, for better or worse. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below. There's a very high-line tactical analysis. I've not gone into any of his Jules 1 or those kind of things. Mainly because I feel like there are other people who are better at telling those stories, but let me know in the comments below. There is a Patreon and, of course, a Discord. Go join those. I'd love to see you guys in them and chat to you about where Liverpool go next season, what's going to make us better, what's going to make us improve. And I think these are the marginal gains we're looking for at this point. Klopp clearly had this team doing something good. By the way, attacking-wise, his expected assists, wow, his expected assists, that's not that massive. His expected assists expected everything. I'm going to go and do a deep dive on him and bring it all back to you. But do you want to see that kind of thing on this channel? Appreciate you guys looking in. I'll see you in another while. Much love. Bye.